The polls in Louisiana close in just over an hour, and as we've seen from the strong turnout all day, it's going to be a busy hour for election workers.
Let's go live out to Maya Rodriguez, who's at St. Dominic's in Lakeview, one of the largest New Orleans polling places. Maya?
Well, Angela and Dennis, this is the second major polling site we've been to this evening in New Orleans, and we can tell you that so far we have not seen any major lines. Now, here at St. Dominic, we've been here for about 45 minutes now, and we've maybe seen about a dozen people go in to vote. Now, a lot of the poll workers told us they had expected a major rush this evening of people voting once they got off of work, but at this point, at the two locations that we've been at anyway, that does not appear to be the case. Now, the Secretary of State's office is telling us they believe the rush of voters actually happened this morning before many people actually went to work. Of course, like you mentioned, the polls remain open until 8 o'clock, so you have another hour to vote if you haven't done so already. We're live in Lakeview. Maya Rodriguez, Channel 4 Eyewitness News. Dennis and Angela, back to you.
All right, thanks, Maya. Now Mike and Clancy.
All right, thank you very much. Again, we're going to be looking at the numbers inside the numbers tonight, and one of the key races we'll be looking at, New Orleans, the race for the Orleans Parish District Attorney's race. Leon Cannizzaro in the primary had twice as much of the African-American vote as did Ralph Capitelli, 38% to 17%. This will tell us, as we look at the African-American voters in this race tonight, this will tell us a lot, will it not?
And Cannizzaro in the runoff picked up literally every elected official who happens to be African-American, that person's endorsement. The only black endorsement that Capitelli got in the runoff from a major political figure was, of course, the third place finisher, Jason Williams, and that's what Capitelli's counting on to get him a bigger share of the black vote. And we'll see, we'll be watching this tonight, and this will tell us a lot about who's going to win this race.
What about conversely from the white standpoint, as Capitelli got 53% of the white vote in that primary?
Same thing there, just the mirror image. If Capitelli can get, 2/3 to 3/4 of that vote, that will help offset the expected win among black precincts that Cannizzaro will have. So it's going to be kind of a mirror image of each other in terms of these two candidates and how well they've run.
And we're going to be breaking it down. The Senate race. We'll be also taking a look at the Supreme Court Justice race and go parish by parish. This is the Supreme Court Justice race, just to take a look at it. And again, the first district, it's large. A portion of Orleans is no longer in this. But this will be interesting as well tonight as we look at Jefferson and St. Tammany voters. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, because Jimmy Kuhn, of course, is from the North Shore, Greg Guidry from the South Shore. There's a North Shore-South Shore split there, but in the primary, Guidry actually beat Kuhn in the parish of St. Tammany, and if he can repeat that, then he's got a good shot here. But this race has been very bitterly fought in the runoff, so it's kind of a toss of a coin. Again,
Public Service Commission is another area that we'll be looking at, and again, this is a big, wide swath of the southeastern part of Louisiana. John Schwegman won this one pretty easily in the primary. Do you see much of a chance in this one other than John Schwegman?
Well, no, Skermetta spent a lot of money, so there's a lot of attacks on Schwegman. So I think this one could wind up going down to the wire.
We'll see. All right. Dennis and Angela.
All right.
Okay, look forward to all of that.
CBS News coverage continues now on Channel 4. And a reminder, once the polls close at 8 o'clock, we'll have continuous local coverage on WUPL 54 as well.
So stay with us, and we'll have another update on Channel 4 at 7:25.
As I always say, one's company, two's a crowd, and three's a bundle. Who wrote this? Are you kidding? I would never say that. You mind if I rewrite this?
Get Cox Cable high-speed internet and telephone just $99 a month. Call 333-6575.
Okay, how's this? My name is Drew Brees, and if you bundle with Cox, you'll save money.
Dennis Weltering helps a homeowner with her modular mess, Thursday at 10. From WWL-TV, Channel 4, this is a Campaign 2008 Election Night Update.
With the polling places across Louisiana set to close in about 30 minutes, we're back with this local election update.
Let's check in with the two major Senate campaigns, beginning with Eric Paulson and Sally Ann Roberts at the Mary Landrieu headquarters. Eric, Sally?
Yes, we are here at the Hotel Intercontinental, and the stage is set. The balloons are inflated. The supporters have not yet arrived, but they are hoping that tonight this place will be filled with some victorious celebrants.
And this is a pretty exuberant campaign staff here. They're very confident that this will be a very good win for Mary Landrieu. As we said earlier, they really think this could be the biggest win she's ever had in the 3 times she's run for this Senate seat.
She has outspent her competitor 2-to-1 as she's raised $11 million for this campaign, and it's been a tough campaign.
Yes, it has. It's been very ugly. There's Mary Landrieu voting this morning, and 2 thumbs up, as we said. This campaign very confident. We'll know just how confident they are once the polls close, depending on how many people are in line when those polls do close and we start getting results in. We'll be able to bring that information to you.
But right now, let's go to Bigad Shaban and Doug Mouton in Baton Rouge covering the John Kennedy campaign.
Well, guys, Kennedy hasn't made an appearance yet here at the watch party, but we can tell you that throughout this campaign, he's really done whatever he can to make tonight all about party lines.
And what's interesting, from the first moment he qualified, he started saying, I'm for McCain, she's for Obama. He brought it up at every debate, and on numerous commercials, he's tried to hit that message throughout this campaign often.
Very often, actually bringing in the national presidential candidates. What's interesting, though, is over the last 14 presidential elections, Louisiana has actually given its electoral votes to 8 Republican candidates for president. So it remains to be seen if tonight could possibly be number 9 in just the last 15 elections.
Yeah, and John Kennedy will need big Republican support tonight to win. His campaign headquarters still quiet here. A few people filtering in, still a quiet room. They hope to be partying later. We'll find out. We'll send it back to you guys in New Orleans.
Okay, thank you.
With us in the studio, Channel 4 political analyst Ed Renwick and Clancy Dubose. And Clancy, this campaign got off to a different kind of a start, especially for Mary Landrieu. I mean, she did something she doesn't normally do. She attacked first.
She went on the attack early and often. It did 2 things for her, really. Just as John Kennedy was trying to define himself as a candidate for the Senate, Landrieu poured it on with the beginnings of her One Confused Politician campaign, which, first of all, redefined Kennedy before he could define himself. And second of all, she started the spending war. And of course, at the time, she had a war chest that was 2 to 3 times the size of Kennedy's, and it stayed about that much bigger than his throughout the campaign. So it forced him to go to the well earlier than I think he wanted to.
And what do you attribute her Republican support to?
Well, her help in getting assistance based on the hurricanes. I mean, she was the one that stood out among all the major leaders that were dealing with it, and she delivered the bacon.
Okay.
So they're rewarding her by she supported them. She got the stuff. She got the money.
All right.
So let's help her.
Let's check in now with Mike Haas for a quick clarification. Mike?
That's right, Dennis. Earlier we were talking about the DA's race for Orleans Parish. Again, no numbers in, 0%, 0%, but it was a test board and there was a check talking about the African-American voters beside Ralph Capitelli. Again, just a test board. There are no votes. The polls are still open until 8. Dennis, Angela?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
CBS News coverage continues now on Channel 4. And a reminder, once the polls close at 8 o'clock, we'll have continuous local coverage on UPL 54, as well as updates on all the major candidate headquarters.
Stay with us. We'll have another local update.
I'm Sean Payton, head coach of your New Orleans Saints. Today I'm here to talk to you about a different team. In the NFL, each coach and player has to respect the individual talents each of us brings to the team. In life, it should be the same way. Too often, people are judged by the color of their skin or their ethnic background. New Orleans Archbishop Alfred Hughes has addressed the issue of racial harmony in his pastoral letter, Made in the Image and Likeness of God. It's a blueprint for the entire community on how to bring about change. You can be the difference.
Whether it's fashion or furniture, one thing is certain. Great color complements great style. And the more choices you have, the better. That's why Rooms to Go and I are introducing Cindy Crawford Colors, 4 great new living room collections in 7 fresh colors, carefully chosen to work with almost any decor. Just pick your favorite design, choose one color, or mix the colors that are right for you. And because it's Rooms to Go, it's at a price that will make you smile.
Anchor Mike Haas on Channel 4's Eyewitness News. From WWL-TV, Channel 4, this is a Campaign 2008 Election Night Update.
Just 5 minutes now until the polls officially close across Louisiana, although if voters are in line at 8 o'clock, they are going to be allowed to vote.
Let's check in now with the campaigns of two Democratic candidates for the 2nd Congressional District, beginning with Bill Capo and Lucy Bustamante at the William Jefferson headquarters.
Well, Dennis, Angela, we're at the Fine Arts Center uptown where the Jefferson Party will begin shortly. The room is empty now. The candidate himself, not here, still on the streets.
That's exactly right. We were talking to Eugene Green, who is the campaign manager, also his chief of staff, and he said that the reason that they're having it here at the Fine Arts Center is because this is an African-American owned business, and he wants to show his support for that community. And a large part of this race has been race and demographics.
Yes. Now on to Susie Edwards at Helena Moreno.
Susan.
Bill, Lucy, we are here at the Foundry in the Warehouse District. No sight of Helena Moreno at this time. In fact, we're told she won't arrive here until at least around 9:30 and 10 because she too is still out on the streets. At last check, about 15-20 minutes ago, she was at UNO again searching for that young vote. Her next stop will be Xavier University, where they anticipate long lines beyond the 8 o'clock hour. She will continue to shake hands in order to get that vote. Now let's go back to the desk, Dennis and Angela.
All right, thank you, Susan.
Greg Rigamer of GCR and Associates is once again part of our election team tonight, analyzing the races from his headquarters on the lakefront.
And Greg, welcome. What are you looking at? What are you looking for tonight, and what are you finding so far?
Well, Dennis, what we really see tonight is that there will just be amplified turnout. People have spoken about an increased African-American turnout, but in reality, you will have an increased Republican turnout, very comparable to the increased levels of African-American turnout. In Louisiana, because of the demographics, we typically have the Republican vote offset by the African-American vote. And what we're seeing in this race, when we look at early voting, and that's the chart behind us, is that Republicans have voted early with the same frequency that African-Americans have voted early. So we're just seeing a complete elevation of interest in this election and voter turnout.
And so as we see this huge turnout today, do you expect more African-American voter turnout than usual or more Republican voter turnout? How would you describe it?
What I'm saying is that I think both Republican and African-American voter turnout will be at increased levels. When we look at the 283,000 plus votes that have been cast early or by absentee so far, we see a relative consistency between the African-American and the Republican voters. So what we're saying is that the Republicans are as energized about this race as the African-Americans.
All right, so this is good news for people like Mary Landrieu.
I think this is good news for people like Mary Landrieu in a race that is predominantly Democratic and African-American, like in Congressional District 2. It kind of ups the stakes a little bit there for Helena Moreno.
Do you have any surprises, any thoughts of any surprises tonight?
Not really. You know, I mean, we've all been talking about these races so much. I don't really see where there'll be much in the way of surprises. What we really will be looking at, though, is early voting patterns to determine how geography and race affect these different elections.
And we should be getting all of that in the next maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, huh?
I believe so. We're online with a number of early precincts for reporting, and I think we'll see some very important and indicative trends in Orleans Parish early on.
Thanks, Greg. Once we get results in, hopefully at 8 o'clock, you'll see them on the bottom of your screen.
Also remember that at 8 o'clock, our local coverage on...
Tired of paying too much for your glasses? iMasters has the answer. Half off all frames and lenses during the iMasters half off sale. Most glasses are ready in about an hour. The iMasters half off sale for a limited time. iMasters, why pay more? Watch East Jefferson General Hospital's Healthy Lifestyles, Wednesday mornings at 6:58 a.m. on WWL-TV, an informative series on healthy living and lifestyle choices brought to you by East Jefferson General Hospital.
Does a local weight loss clinic really work? Wednesday at 10.
In Louisiana, Mary Landrieu ahead 51% to 47%, with 1% of the vote reporting at this point. And we want to look at some of the congressional races. We have a couple of congressional races we're looking at.
Steve Scalise leading Jim Harlan 71% to 29%. Again, this is 23 precincts of over 500.
And this is Helena Moreno leading William Jefferson, and again, this is a very small percentage of the vote reporting at this point, just 2%. And we wanted to go out to one of the election night headquarters.
Yes, we're going to go
now.
to the Senate race. Mary Landrieu's remote with Sally Ann Robertson, Eric Paulson.
Thank you very much, Angela. And right now we're seeing more and more of the supporters for Mary Landrieu filtering into the ballroom here after the polls close. People who have been working, and they've been operating phone banks today, and they've been getting their the vote out today. And now that the polls are closed, the ballroom is beginning to fill.
And as we said all night, they're very, very positive that this is going to be a very big night for Mary Landrieu, a third term for her. I was just talking with the sheriff of Plaquemines Parish, Jeff Hingle, who said that all the sheriffs in the entire state, Republicans and Democrats, backing her. She hopes big Republican support will help her into a third term.
And now let's go to the Kennedy campaign over in Baton Rouge.
Well, guys, while Mary Landrieu has really tried to tout her experience as a senior senator in Louisiana, you actually have Kennedy who's tried to make that somewhat of a vulnerability. For example, FEMA, he says, as head of the subcommittee on disaster relief and homeland security, he actually calls Landrieu one of the most powerful people when it comes to FEMA. She obviously rejecting that claim and saying she's been somewhat of a watchdog of FEMA.
And we've talked to some Republican leaders who have been in here tonight. They say they like the turnout they've seen today in the Republican-heavy parishes. They believe it's going to be a close race. Obviously, they're speaking to a group who wants to hear that message, but we'll see tonight.
We definitely will. We'll turn it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Doug and Begad, thank you very much. And we want to talk to Ed a little bit here. CBS has called Louisiana for John McCain, and we sort of expected McCain would win Louisiana, but in your poll, it was very close. I mean, it was within the margin of error. McCain was ahead 43 to 40% over Obama. This turned out to be a closer race, according to your poll, than expected, huh?
What percent did he get?
43 to 40. I'm not sure what CBS is projecting at this point. It's 62 to 38% right now. John McCain over Barack Obama, and that's with well, a very small, just 15 of 3,956 precincts reporting.
But that's not many.
They're predicting projecting John McCain the winner.
Yeah. Well, he was leading in the poll.
Yes.
So, and he didn't. That was it. It just basically he was leading, and that's what it shows right now. He was leading.
So it wasn't as close as you might have thought it would be.
Still too early to tell.
It's too early to tell. But
All
right, let's look at the district attorney numbers. We have Ralph Capitelli and Leon Canizero. Look at this. This is a dead heat at this point. This is just 8% of the vote reporting. So this is a contest we're going to be watching very closely through the night.
And of course, the evening is very young.
Yes,
I mean, we've only been closed for
only
28
half an hour,
minutes, and probably people are still voting.
Yeah. And
we're going to be back in another half hour, but also don't forget you can turn to Channel 2 on Cox and 16 on Charter and watch our local coverage.
And now back to CBS.
Jefferson Parish a new quality of life task force.
The Jefferson Parish Administration and the Jefferson Parish Council are committed to solving the problem of blight and reducing crime in Jefferson Parish. Together, we're going to send a strong message to violators and focus on a higher quality of life.
The task force will use parish code enforcement workers along with JP Sheriff's deputies, targeting 17 neighborhoods, conducting inspections 3 days a week, thus reducing the amount of blighted properties which have a direct correlation with crime.
Early sweeps have yielded more than 6,000 violations in 1 month. More than 1,000 violations have been issued.
It's part of building economic development while fighting crime issues. I am proud of the job our men and women are doing to make Jefferson Parish a safe place to live, work, and raise our families.
We've got our eye on crime prevention at the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office and WWL-TV, Channel 4. Anchor Dennis Wiltering on Channel 4's Eyewitness News. From WWL-TV, Channel 4, this is a Campaign 2008 Election Night Update.
Welcome back to our local campaign 2008 election night coverage. We have some new numbers in the district attorney's race here in New Orleans. Let's take a look at those. Leon Cannizzaro out front with 60% of the vote. Ralph Capitelli 40%. We have 25% of the vote in at this point.
And we'll go over to Leon Cannizzaro headquarters where Katie Moore and Scott Satchfield are.
Well, that's right, Dennis and Angela, and certainly as those numbers were just put up on the screen, a lot of applause here, and a lot of people are starting to show up. The crowd is definitely thickening, a lot of excitement in the room.
Absolutely, lots of excitement, similar to what we saw in the primary, as those precincts that they're closely watching are coming in slowly throughout the night. Lots of excitement here.
That's right, and you know, throughout the last couple of weeks, as we've been covering this election day and talking to folks, so many people were really keyed in on this race. Obviously, a lot of problems with the district attorney's office over the last couple of years, so people were really focusing on this race tonight.
Right, and as Greg Brigamer said, we are closely watching those heavily African-American precincts, and so far those seem to be coming in Cannizzaro's favor. That's it from Lakeview. We'll toss it back to Angela and Dennis in the studio now.
All right, we want to go to the Ralph Capitelli headquarters and Paul Murphy and Lee Zurich.
All right, thanks a lot, Dennis. And you know, the Capitelli campaign was hoping that Jason Williams, who finished in third place in the primary, could help deliver some of that African-American vote and put Ralph Capitelli on top of this election.
Of course, we're not sure where these early polls are coming in from. We have not seen Ralph Capitelli yet tonight. We're told that he is in the hotel upstairs somewhere watching the returns come in, obviously not liking what he's seen so far this evening, Lee.
But the night is still early, and he will continue to watch, and we will continue to do so as more people make their way into the ballroom here. Now let's go back to the studios.
All right, thanks, guys.
Let's take a look at the latest numbers for the Senate. Mary Landrieu with 53% over John Kennedy's 45%. And again, that's with only 27% of the precincts reporting.
And we want to break down some of these numbers a little bit more. Go to Mike Haas and Clancy Dubose. Mike?
Again, that's where we're going to pick it up in that Senate race with Mary Landrieu. Again, go back to 2002. She beat Susie Hyde-Terrell. She got 80% in Orleans Parish in that race. Orleans right now, she's got 80% again. In Jefferson in 02, Mary Landrieu got 44% of the vote against Susie Hyde-Terrell. Right now, she's got 50% of the vote.
This is huge. Now, this is with only about a fourth of the vote in, but if Landrieu can continue to run this well in Jefferson Parish, the race is over. She wins. And we're going to look at St. Tammany and see some more good news for Landrieu if that trend continues. Again, 25% of the vote in, but Landrieu running at 40% of the vote. Against Susie Terrell, she got something like 34%, something like that, 32%. Right. This is substantially higher than she did, and she beat Susie Terrell by 42,000 votes statewide. So for Landrieu to be leading in Jefferson and getting 40% in St. Tammany, knowing that she's getting 80% in Orleans, that would put her coming out of the metro New Orleans.
Which we can also do
somewhere around 60%.
This is the metro area.
If she comes out of metro New Orleans with 60% of the vote, meaning Orleans, Jefferson, St. Tammany, and I think St. Bernard, she clearly will win the race, and she's poised to do that statewide.
All right. Thanks very much. Clancy will have more, of course, coming up on UPL. Right now, back to CBS's coverage of election 2008.
How many times have I told you? How many times have I told you? Yeah. How many times have I told you? If you're in a wreck with a big rig like this one, call me. I'm personal injury attorney Michael Hingle. You need an experienced, aggressive attorney.
Michael Hingle has offices in New Orleans, Gretna, Metairie, LaPlace, Hammond, Homa, Covington, and Slidell.
If you're in a wreck with an 18-wheeler, we'll take them to court and they won't be so big.
Call attorney Michael Hingle at 1-800-USA-JURY.
Before you accept a quick check, check with him.
For over 95 years, Domborian Oriental Rugs has been selling affordable, fine-quality hand-woven rugs. These fine heirloom rugs have lasted for generations, unlike the cheap throwaway imitations. At Domborians, you can choose from a diverse selection of fine antique and new rugs. Let our experienced staff help you select the perfect masterpiece for your home. We're also experts when it comes to cleaning and restoring handmade rugs. Visit our showroom at 2841 Magazine Street to select one of our masterpieces that will become art for your floor.
Dennis Weltering helps a homeowner with her modular Thursday at 10.